Okay.
always been a coach. Didn't know that I was a coach, but my entire life I have been the go-to person, for advice or just people want to pick my brain. I'm always open and willing to share whatever I have. But throughout my journey, I've taught myself. So I think the main thing with mindset for me is that any of the tools that I have acquired, 90% of them I've taught myself. I had to learn how to maneuver through life. I had to learn how to deal with trauma. I had to learn how to recognize trauma first and foremost. I had to recognize it for myself in order to see what steps I needed to take in life in order to go back and pull people in with me and say, hey, there is a dark side. Let's acknowledge that. But there's also a light side on the opposite end.
I think also that that's part of the journey. This is a podcast about marriage and how do you have a successful marriage. Part of having a successful marriage is being a success individually as well as a couple. And how do you do that? And there you have to start working on the inside.
Say you felt like you lost yourself, and I could suggest, like, in that happiest moment of your life, what were you doing? You could say, oh, I was painting. So I may suggest, well, today, like in this moment, go out and get you, canva and some paint or finger paint, just something to get you back into your happy place. So of course it depends on the client, but after you have the self-realization, like, it's time to get to work. Like, you really have to put it into action, because you can talk all day, I can talk all day, I can listen to you all day, but then what?
Free, and he walks into the apartment one night, and I'm in the living room in the dark crying. And he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "He's gone." And he said, "Who?" And I said, "Tupac." And he laughed at me, which made me cry harder. Because why are you laughing at me? Tupac. So I'm easing through it. But every
I'm
time
glad I cried as well. I was at work.
it was a beautiful soul that left.
And was people looking at you, Jack, like, what the hell is she crying about?
Was crying as well, and we was like, we have to go home, and the manager was like, what's wrong? And my sister was like, my husband died.
See, so can tell us a little bit about how the growth mindset and all these things come into play when it comes to that healing journey.
Well, first, before I get fully into that, let me share how my spiritual self-awareness awakening came into play. So in 2005, I got paralyzed. I was paralyzed for 3 months. I was 26. I was a single mother. My daughter was 2. My son was 4. And I ended up living in a nursing home for a month. So I did a month in the hospital. And after the hospital, no treatments was working. So, it's an assisted living facility. It's a nursing home. They try to code.
Right. Make it sound pretty.
Wordy.
Yeah.
So when I got to the nursing home, during that month process is when I began my spiritual journey, because I began to question. A lot of people say not to question the higher power, but I believe that we are all co-creators.
Yes.
So in that moment, I question, like, what is my purpose? Why am I literally on my back?
If our listeners are feeling stuck, they're going through some things, if they are at a time of transition, a time of, confusion, trying to figure things out, let's see, 3 things can you say to them to help them today to start to get out of that unstuck feeling or stuck feeling, to get unstuck?
First question I will ask them, what are you grateful for in this moment? That is one of the main key components that we forget. We get wrapped up in our bubbles and we lose sight of everything, every reason to have gratitude. So I'll ask them to see what they're grateful for in this moment. So when we meditate, it just means to have focus on something. Staring out the window. You can be meditating, just being in silence. You could be meditating while you're painting. It's just your focus. Where's your focus going? That's meditation.